Hey and welcome to the Daily Arsenal News Show. Let's begin with our daily news. Reports suggest unbelievable Arsenal player could now be sold this summer. Arsenal could now sell young playmaker Fabio Vieira this summer, just a year after signing him. That's according to a report from the Athletic's Amy Lawrence, who lists some of the players who could move on in the next transfer window. The mood at the Emirates is at its lowest ebb of the season after yesterday's defeat. Having seen Manchester City comfortably dispatch Everton, Arsenal knew the only acceptable result against Brighton was a win. Unfortunately, the pressure looked to get to the squad, and they couldn't match Roberto De Zerbi's side. A game between two of the league's best footballing sides turned into a scrappy, feisty contest. Gabriel Martinelli limped off in the first half, and the game was rarely allowed to flow. Mikel Arteta turned to his bench early in the second half, with Arsenal needing goals. Reece Nelson, Emile Smith-Rowe and Eden Ketia were all given their chance to change the game. Fabio Vieira was the only attacking player not given an opportunity yesterday. There is now a suggestion that Arsenal could sell Vieira in the summer, less than 12 months after his arrival. He has not made the immediate impact some would have hoped for this season. Writing for The Athletic, Lawrence said, Arsenal have some bargaining power when it comes to raising money or player exchanges. Some of Kieran Tierney, Rob Holding, Takahiro Tomiyasu, Granit Xhaka, Fabio Vieira, Emile Smith-Rowe, Reece Nelson, Eden Ketia, Folarin Balogun won't be on the payroll next season. The unbelievable playmaker has been a victim of Arsenal's success this season, capable of playing as either an 8 or a 10. Vieira's opportunities have been very limited. He is still very lightweight and has struggled to make an impact on games recently. Vieira is technically excellent, but it will be interesting to see if Arsenal are patient with him or decide now is the right time to sell him. With Emile Smith-Rowe back to full fitness, that's another player he is competing for now for minutes. If Arsenal receive a decent bid, it wouldn't be the worst decision to cut their loss a year after signing the £34 million Portuguese. Arsenal's physio tells supporters that injured 21-year-old will play again this season. Arsenal's head of medical services, Gary O'Driscoll, provided an update on Gabriel Martinelli's fitness outside the Emirates last night. O'Driscoll was approached outside the ground by a fan who asked him about various members of the squad. Few would have expected yesterday's match to be so feisty before kick-off. Brighton and Arsenal are two teams synonymous with playing some of the best football in the league. The Gunners typically started games incredibly quickly and tried to establish an early lead. Their recent form has seen a significant drop-off, however, and Brighton capitalized. A reckless challenge from Gabriel Martinelli on Mitoma saw the visitors awarded a free kick. He could have easily been booked, but Moses Caicedo quickly put in a poor challenge of his own on the Brazilian. Martinelli required treatment, and although he tried to continue, was replaced a few minutes later by Leandro Trossard. The signs didn't look good for Martinelli, but O'Driscoll has now provided an update on the Arsenal forward. It seems as though the 21-year-old season might not be over after all. Asked by a fan how the Brazilian international was doing, O'Driscoll said, "Sore, terrible foul, disgraceful foul, but he is a bit sore, but he should be okay. Yeah, I think he will be back before the end of the season." It's fantastic news for Arsenal given the scenes at the end of the match. When the full-time whistle blew, Martinelli was seen wearing a protective boot on his foot. This was a precaution from Arsenal's medical team, given the awkward angle his ankle turned under Caicedo's challenge. With just 2 games remaining and Arsenal's title hopes virtually over, there may not be much point risking Martinelli. Leandro Trossard has proved to be a fantastic backup, although he was at fault for Brighton's second goal. O'Driscoll's update suggests Arsenal don't expect Martinelli to have any long-term issues with his ankle injury. Mikel Arteta's biggest concern will be making sure he is fully fit and raring to go next season. Gary Neville is not impressed with a £20 million Arsenal player after Brighton defeat. Gary Neville has slated Arsenal defender Jakub Kiwior after the Gunners lost 3-0 to Brighton yesterday. Speaking on his podcast, Neville wasn't impressed with Kiwior's involvement in Brighton's first goal. It was a tense first half that will be best remembered for the referee's leniency rather than any of the football played. Gabriel Martinelli and Moses Caicedo both put in big challenges that saw the Brazilian go off injured. Mikel Arteta already wasn't happy on the touchline and his mood didn't improve after the break. Julio Inicio put the visitors in front with a header inside the box after some good work down the left from Brighton. Estopinian's initial cross was cleared by Kieran Tierney, but his scuffed second effort landed straight on the head of Inicio. He wasn't going to miss from 6 yards and wheeled off celebrating with his teammates. Neville wasn't happy with Jakub Kiwior in the build-up to the goal as Arsenal went behind. The £20 million defender's ankle was stepped on and he went and stayed down in the box. It left the little Paraguayan unmarked to give Brighton the lead. Speaking on his podcast, Neville said, "How harsh should I be on Kiwior? 10 years ago, as Gary Neville just retired from football, playing for Manchester United, I am getting killed for that. Any defender's getting killed for that in the Manchester United team if you are basically sat there. He wasn't that injured. He was running after Mitoma in that channel, wasn't he? I have got very little sympathy for him. Kiwior has to look at that and think, come on, you have got to do better than that. You have got to get up. That's where you have just got to dig in and get up, even if you are on one leg. I mean, the smallest player on the pitch has headed it in the back of the net, free in the box. So it was a poor moment for him. It was a poor moment for Arsenal." Ian Wright says 25-year-old Arsenal player got toasted by Brighton yesterday. Pundit Ian Wright was impressed with Brighton star Mitoma, and he believes the winger absolutely dominated Arsenal defender Ben White. Both sides had a lot to play for when they met on Sunday. Brighton are fighting for a European place, whilst Arsenal are battling for the league. The hope of beating Manchester City to the title is now gone, as the Gunners lost 3-0 at the Emirates. Both goals came in the second half, and Arsenal fans left the stadium gutted. Mitoma has impressed many this season, including Arsenal. They are heavily linked to the winger, who will cost around £35 million. Mitoma dominated White the whole match, and one of the goals was due to how easily the Asian star got past the defender. Speaking to the Premier League, Wright said, "They wanted us to go for their jugular right off the bat, and we did, and we tried. What Brighton did was they sucked us in and then hit this long ball over the top. They got the one-on-ones. Ben White got toasted today. Mitoma gave him more problems than anyone has given him. Ferguson up front was obviously physically a problem. With the Gunners second, they will be very happy with their season. Despite this, they will no doubt be disappointed that they missed out on the title. They were never expected to challenge for it this season. In the end, their inexperience showed, and they just started to falter over the last month." Arsenal very confident £27 million player will sign a new contract now. CBS journalist Bennett Jacobs claims Arsenal are very confident that William Saliba will sign a new contract now. Arsenal suffered a crushing 3-0 defeat at the hands of Brighton yesterday, which all but ended their hopes of lifting the Premier League title. Mikel Arteta's men have enjoyed an exceptional campaign and performed well above expectations, but their form began to drop off after William Saliba picked up an injury back in March. The Frenchman was arguably one of Arsenal's most consistent performers beforehand, and his absence has only highlighted his importance to the team. Saliba made the switch to the Emirates Stadium for a fee worth £27 million back in 2019, as he put pen to paper on a 5-year deal. The 22-year-old has only established himself as a first-team player this season, and his contract is set to run until next year. Aaron Ramsdale and Bukayo Saka both look set to commit their long-term futures to the club, but there have been concerns over whether or not Saliba will follow suit. But Jacobs has told Give Me Sport that Arsenal are confident that Saliba will put pen to paper. The journalist shared an update on Saliba's contract situation and claimed the Gunners believe Saliba will extend his stay in North London. He said, "Even though I have said that one is more complicated, it's only complicated compared to the rest. If you look at the Saliba deal as its own entity, it's another one that Arsenal are very confident they will get over the line. That will be a reflection of the fact that Arsenal have a core and foundation to build on, win or lose the Premier League, to be that team that automatically almost ends up with a Champions League spot, which is what they are looking for, and it tries to continue to challenge with Manchester City. It's easy to look at Arsenal's season as one of doom and gloom because they have wobbled at the wrong time and it will cost them the Premier League. But if they end second with the Champions League football and get all these renewals done from a foundational and a project point of view, they will be delighted, even though the league position may not be what they wanted. Pundit urges a 24-year-old to forget Arsenal if a Premier League rival make move this summer. Stan Collymore believes that Declan Rice needs to forget about joining Arsenal if Manchester City make a move for the 24-year-old this summer. Collymore was speaking in his Sunday People column about the future of the West Ham captain as it appears from the outside increasingly likely that the England international will leave at the end of the season. Declan Rice has continued to develop into a world-class player. He was absolutely sensational in the Hammers win over Manchester United, with Eric Ten Hag reportedly left in awe of Rice's display. Of course, it appears that Arsenal are in the driving seat to sign him. A report from Football Transfers has suggested that Arsenal have now spoken with West Ham about a possible fee for Rice. However, Collymore has his doubt about Arsenal. He suggested that he does not see Mikel Arteta's men really kicking on from what they have done this season, and with that, the pundit claimed that Rice face a simple choice if Pep Guardiola comes calling. He told the Sunday People the following: "If Manchester City come for Declan Rice this summer, then he has to go there. Forget Arsenal, forget Chelsea, forget Manchester United, and forget the way things have worked out for Calvin Phillips at the Etihad too. No player in his right mind would turn City down in the next couple of seasons and for as long as Pep Guardiola remains there. Obviously, it probably is the safer move to head to the Etihad Stadium. Manchester City have been a powerhouse of world football for a number of years now. They have not finished outside the top two in the Premier League since Guardiola's first season in charge. Arsenal do appear to have serious potential. They have such a young squad and they have pushed the citizens all the way this term, but they cannot even think about standing still for a second. Newcastle, Manchester United, Liverpool, and Chelsea are going to be better next year, and Tottenham will hope to join them. Signing Rice will be a step in the right direction for Arsenal, but Collymore is probably right that the Gunners are facing a crucial window that could decide how the next few years look at the Emirates. I will be uploading daily Arsenal news, so keep your eyes on the channel and don't forget to like and subscribe. I appreciate your support. Peace out.